Hello all. Today let's learn about all the constructs in C language. C is a general purpose procedural programming language that has been around since the early 1970s. It was developed by Dennis Ritchie at Bell Labs and is considered one of the most influential programming languages. C is known for its efficiency and is widely used in system programming, embedded systems, and applications that require high performance. So here is a basic C code. In the first line we have include studio.h where we include a standard input output library which contains all the essential functions such as printf. In the second line we have our main function from where the code starts executing. In the main function we have our printf function where it prints the statement on the console. So in this case it is hello world. At the last we have return 0 which indicates that the program has executed successfully without any errors. So the output in this case on the console is hello world. Now let's see how to run a C program. First write a code. Once you write your code, paste it in a text editor and save it with the .c extension. And then compile your code. To compile your code, you can use your command prompt and type this command. Once your code is compiled, you can run the program. If you are using a Linux or Mac operating system, you can use /program command. But if you're using a Windows, if you're using a Windows operating system, you can use program.exe command and you can see the expected output of hello world. So now let's discuss about the data types in C. C provides us with several data types such as basic data types which are int where it is used for integers like whole numbers, and then float which is used for decimals, and then character which is used for a single string like symbols or letters, and then double which is similar to float which offers double precision. In addition to the basic types, C also provides us with derived types such as an array, pointer, structure, and then a union. And then here are some examples. Int a is equals to 5, float b is equals to 3.14, character c is equals to a. Now let's see about the variables and constants. Variables store data in memory, while constants hold fixed values that cannot be modified. So here we can assume variables as a container which store values. But variables can be modified and constants cannot be modified. So here is an example. Int x is equals to 0. As we can see, this is a variable and it can be modified. And next we have constant float pi is equals to 3.14159. So here this is a constant and it cannot be modified. Basic output functions in C. Printf is the basic output function in C. So the syntax is printf. In quotes we have format string, comma, variable. So here the format string depends on the value stored in the variable. Some basic format strings are like %d for an integer, %f for float, and %c for character. Here's an example. We have int a is equals to 4. So we are supposed to use %d as our format specifier. So we have printf %d comma a, where our output is 4. Basic input function in C. We have scanf, that is the most basic input function, and then its syntax is scanf. In quotes we have format string, comma, ampersand variable. Here the format string tells scanf what type of data to expect, and the ampersand is used to pass the address of the variable where the input can be stored. So here is an example. Input a, printf, enter the value of a, and then scanf %da. So here we are asking the scanf to expect an integer as an input. Operators in C. C provides variety of operators which we can group into three main categories. Arithmetic operators. They perform basic mathematical operations. Relational operators. They compare values. Logical operators. They evaluate logical expressions. In arithmetic operators, we have plus for addition, minus for subtraction, asterisk for multiplication, slash for division, and percentage for modulus function. Next, we have relational operators where they compare two values. Double equals checks if the two values are equal. Exclamatory equals checks if the values are not equal. Greater than, lesser than, and then greater than equals to and lesser than equals to. Lastly, we have logical operators which are used to combine multiple conditions. Two ampersands represent and. If both the conditions are true, it returns a true value. If we have two straight lines which represents a or, even if one condition is true, it returns a true. An exclamatory for an or, it negates a condition. So here is an example for arithmetic operations. Control structures. The if-else construct enables the program to execute in different blocks of code depending on whether a condition is true or false. So here's an example. If x is greater than 0, printf positive number, else printf non-positive number. By reading the code itself, we can understand what the code does. So here we are asking it to print it's a positive number if x is greater than 0, or else we are asking it to print that it's a non-positive number. Switch statement. A switch statement allows you to handle multiple conditions by evaluating a single expression and matching it against other cases. So here's an example. So we have here switch with an expression and then we try to match it with different cases. So if the switch value is equals to 1, it prints option 1. If it's equals to 2, then it prints option 2. But if it doesn't match any of these, it will go to the default case where it prints the invalid option. Now let's discuss loops in C. C provides three main looping constructs. For loop. This loop is ideal when you know beforehand how many times you want to run the loop. So it has three parts: initialization, condition, and update. So in this example, we can see that we initialized I is equals to 0 and gave a condition that I should be less than 5, and then we are iterating it. So here we can print the value of I 5 times. As we are printing the value of I, we get the value of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And next we have while loop. This loop runs as long as a specified condition is true. Unlike the other for loop, the initialization and update is done outside the loop here. So here is an example. First we declared that I is equal to 0. And then we have a condition while I is less than 5. In the condition, in the while loop, we have printf and then we are iterating it. So the basic difference in these two loops are, for loop, you know the number of iterations in advance, but for while loop, you don't know the number of iterations, but you know the condition. The third loop, do while loop. Unlike for or while loop, the do while loop checks its condition at the end of each iteration. This means the code inside the loop will be executed at least once, even if the condition is false from the start. So let's see the example. As we can see, we initialized it and then we are directly printing the value of I and then we are iterating the value of I, and at the last we are checking if the condition is true. So here we can see that this will be executed till the value of I reaches 5. Functions in C. A function is a block of code designed to perform a specific task. Instead of repeating the code, we can write a code once in a function and call it whenever we need it. This not only saves time but also makes the program easier to maintain. So here's an example for addition of two numbers. So we can see here add is the name of the function and int a and int b are the parameters. So we can use this in our code by calling it add. In parentheses we can be like 2 and 3 and it returns 5. Arrays in C. An array stores a sequence of elements of the same type. So here's an example. Int numbers of 5 is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we are giving the array a size of 5 and storing 5 elements. Pointers in C. A pointer is a variable that stores memory address of another variable. Instead of holding a value directly, it holds the memory address of the value stored in it. Pointers enable dynamic memory allocation, allowing us to allocate memory during the runtime. So let's understand this with an example. So here we are storing 26 in a variable num, and in the next line we have in asterisk ptr is equal to ampersand num. So here asterisk makes ptr a pointer variable. And here we can see we are storing the address of num in ptr. So ptr is a pointer variable. Structures in C. Structures group different types of data together. Unlike arrays, which store data of same time, structures can store variables of different data types. So here's an example. Struct point. So struct is a keyword used for structure and point is the name of the structure. So we have two members in the structures, that is int x and int y. Unions in C. A union is a special data type that allows us to store different data types in the same memory location. Unlike a structure where each member has its own memory space, a union shares the same memory location with all its members. So here's an example. Union data and it has two members. So union is a keyword used for unions and data is the name of the union. So here the memory space of int is 4 bytes and for float it's 4 bytes. So the memory this union has is 4 bytes. But for a structure, if this was a structure, int has 4 bytes